Good morning, everyone. Can everybody see me and hear me okay? If you can, just type that into the chat box. Then that would be helpful. All right, Olivia says yes. Okay, thank you, Chelsea. So before we get started, we're actually going to wait about 4 to 5 minutes. And the reason why is because there was some more technical difficulties as far as our end, as far as some of the links not working and those type of things. So of course, it wouldn't be a morning coffee break. So we have to have some sort of technical difficulties. So I'm going to turn off my webcam for about 5 minutes, and then we'll get started. Hey, Thomasine. Hey, Tyler. Tyler, can you hear me? Tyler, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. All right. We'll go ahead and get started a little bit today. So my name is Rush, and I'm the MSPI Prevention Grants Director. And So today we're actually going to be covering stress, and we're actually going to have a guest speaker. Tyler Stone is actually going to cover our topic this week. And thank you again for joining us. And I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. That's just 2 in a row this time. So just bear with us, please. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tyler to go ahead and get started. So make sure that you comment and chat and ask questions, and just try to participate in any way that you can and any way that you feel comfortable. And without further ado, Tyler.
All right. Thank you, Rush. Hey, while I have you on here, Rush, how do I, because I'm not too familiar with GoToMeetings, how do I see everyone else's webcams? Because I'm only seeing.
So actually, people will actually have to go on there, and then on your top right corner of your tab, you can go to webcam, and people can actually share their webcam. So if any participant wants to, hello, Cassie, thank you so much. Feel free to share that webcam on any of the participants, and because I will say it does make it a lot easier for people presenting. If there is some feedback and some head nods, and just being able to see people on that. So that's really just up to people. Hey, Catherine. So Sunny actually helped us a lot on all of our health and wellness runs, and unfortunately we had to actually cancel this year's. So hopefully next year we'll get back in the loop on that. So thank you so much, Sunny. So Sunny actually helped us a lot on all of our wellness runs, and unfortunately we had to actually cancel this year's. So hopefully next year we'll get back in the loop on that. So thank you so much.
Someone's got some delay. It's like 5 seconds late.
Okay. I muted everybody, so hopefully that shouldn't be a problem. So whenever you feel comfortable, you're ready to go, Tyler.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm sorry, I'm just not familiar with GoToMeeting at all. It's a little bit different when I follow the link. So Olivia, you don't have a camera, that's totally cool. If you guys want to, just contribute in the chat box if you want to, or like Rush said, just turn on your webcam and unmute your mic. And people are still coming into the Zoom chat as we speak. So it's been a morning. Hey, Morgan. All right. So today we're talking about stress. So it's only, it's a perfect time to talk about stress because that's literally what we've been going through since 8 a.m. this morning. And again, do apologize for some of the technical difficulties that we have been experiencing this morning. So what I would like to do, and with stress, everyone's familiar with it, but I think stress looks different for everyone. The things that stress me out may not stress Rush out, and vice versa. And I use Rush a lot as an example because we've been working side by side together for probably the past 3 years or so. So I can come to him with things that are stressing me out, and he may be like, why are you worrying so much about this, right? And then vice versa. So what I want to do is, if you're comfortable speaking about stress, what are some stressors that you've been experiencing? And let's think about some stressors that have been going on, especially since, mid-March when COVID hit. So if you feel comfortable, let's just have that discussion. What are some things that have been stressful for you if you feel comfortable sharing that? Anyone? I'll just start calling people out. Let's see who we got. Tamara. Oh, Morgan raised her hand. I only see 6 people on my screen. So we have some cameras that maybe aren't on. So I'm not able to see everyone.
Can y'all hear me?
We sure can.
Okay.
So we'll talk about some of the stressors you've had, Morgan.
Sorry, I have a delay, so it's like speaking. Okay, but one of the things that I was stressing about was trying to keep my family safe, my son and my grandparents, trying to keep from going to their house as much as I wanted to, just to check on them. Doing like wellness checks within the family was hard to do. It was hard to try to trust their words sometimes just by phone. So that was hard for me to deal with because I'm the type of person who sees my family regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that was with you guys, but for me, it was really hard. It was stressful. Sometimes I lost a little sleep over it. Sometimes I got a little depressed over it. So.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Who else can relate to Morgan, that stress of, being really connected to family, and then there's this fear of not wanting to, have, let's say, COVID, and then, spread it to the family, and then feel guilty about that, right? Has anyone else felt that? The stress of not being able to see family like you normally do?
Yeah, the same. And I have one of those households where it's like I have my niece over constantly. My grandmother's just turned 95, and I'm with either at her house or my house. And so then it really became this like question of, well, how do I handle this? Like, because, to me, it was easy to quarantine myself, but then you can't tell a 95-year-old, I have found, to stay home and not go around, because she kind of has this like YOLO attitude of, I'm 95, I'm not staying home. But then at the same time, I need to be there for her, but I also have a 2-year-old at home. So that was really stressful.
Right. Anyone else?
For me, it's just been that lack of real social contact, lack of seeing people face to face, not going into the office and seeing my coworkers every day, or being able to pop into the office next door and say, hey, how's it going? Just that lack of social contact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We kind of forgot how nice it was to have that social contact, how nice it was to go to the movies or go to concerts and hug our grandparents, right? And then when COVID hit, we wanted to make sure they were safe, and that kind of had to go to the wayside for a little bit. Anyone else? Some great discussion so far. I love it.
So I'll just read a couple from the chat that I think that are really good. One is just trying to navigate quarantine with our children, and that they are bored out of their minds at home. And I think that we can all feel some sort of that even within ourselves. So do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, it's been tough, right? We kind of had this routine going on. A lot of parents, they may have had kids that were really active after school, whether with sports, with band, with cheer, whatever the case may be, or just with schoolwork, homework afterwards. And yeah, there seemed to be a lot of downtime, with the kids afterwards. So you may be thinking, I'm looking online for all these different crafts, and we're trying all these different things out. And stress could come from that as well. For me, it was kind of eye-opening because I had more time with my daughter, and we spent a lot more time at home. And I knew for me, after talking to my supervisor, Kyle, about it, he was encouraging me to look at it as a positive and reconnect. And I think that's what I needed. So for us, what we found, a really fun activity was playing like the Nintendo Switch, like Luigi's Mansion 3. If there's any gamers in the house, shout out. So we played a lot of that. We built a lot of Lego. So that was pretty cool. And that's usually a couple of hours every night whenever we're building that. So that was pretty cool. And what about the stress of just like the unknown, like the uncertainty of COVID, right? Like, how long is this going to last? Did anyone else feel that as well? Any stress from that?
I think I still kind of feel that a little bit because, like the last time that we had a pandemic, obviously none of us here were alive. And it took them years to come up with the vaccine. Well, I think a year or something like that when there was this last pandemic. So it's kind of stressful. Like, we never know even if that's going to work when they do come up with it, or how it's going to affect us. There's just going to be like this stress until it's a relief for everybody, I feel like.
Right, absolutely. Does anyone else agree with Morgan on that one, or anyone share that similar stress, or that similar fear of just really the unknown of kind of what's to come?
So for me, I really do, and there are a lot of people in the chat box that are also saying yes, and that they have. So I think whenever we even look back at the Great Depression and we think of how they didn't really have much and no real jobs and security and all those things, but the difference was that everybody could all get together and everybody could all spend time with their families. And now we have this situation where not only are some people losing their jobs and their livelihood, but now they can't actually spend time with each other either in a safe manner. And I think that's one of the biggest changes, one of the biggest challenges that we faced throughout the last several months.
Yeah, I agree. And I was talking to a coworker yesterday about this. Things are starting to open back up, and you start seeing a lot less people wearing a mask. And I know for me, I sort of have like this psychological fear of kind of like reintegrating back to the way things were, like, I don't know if I'm ready to be in an area where there's a large gathering. Like, I still wear a mask when I go to like Lowe's or Walmart. And now I feel like I'm amongst like the minority of people who actually wear a mask at Walmart now. I know there were still a few that kind of refused to wear one, but I would say like 80% of people at Walmart were wearing them. And now it's like maybe 10%. So it's just kind of strange to me. I guess I kind of got so used to social distancing and wearing a mask and carrying my hand sanitizer around. And now things are opening back up. So I'm still kind of stuck in like early ages of COVID-19 mode, where I don't even know if I'm still comfortable like giving my grandparents a hug, which I really want to do because I probably haven't given them a hug since I saw them last, probably like in February or January. So I definitely missed that. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that, and wanting to connect with family and really just give them a hug. It goes a long way. Anything else? Any other stressors that are going on? Again, this doesn't have to be like a therapy session. Just kind of in general, like, are there some other things that maybe you're stressed out with? I know somebody said work in the chat, maybe, if I saw that.
I think definitely, like, aside from the COVID, there's stuff going on that's very stressful and it's very impactful on us as Native Americans. And I'm just kind of, we worry about our health, and now we have to worry about our safety and the safety of our communities and our children and the things they see. I think that's stressful for me because I live in Okmulgee, and my son, he's only 2, but he goes to daycare here. And I just worry about if something's going to travel down this way and people are going to get angry, or something's going to happen that people are going to be offensive towards. So, I mean, that's kind of stressful for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of going through a lot right now. Like, 2020 hasn't really been the year that we thought it was going to be. We really thought 2020 was going to be the year, What I've been trying to do personally is take things and kind of like take a step back. And I think for me personally, and if you guys can relate to this at all, feel free to do so, or, communicate that in any way. But for me, it's been a year of reflection. I've been taking a step back, and I've been reflecting a lot more on really just everything. My appreciation for connection, my appreciation for my friends, and just learning more about, people that don't look like me. Really just taking a step back and just listening and being more of an ally, and really just empathizing more with people's pain, a pain that I may not, I don't understand, I never will understand, right? But for me, just taking that step back, and of course, there's always maybe that fear that what if it does come to Okmulgee? But what I will say about Okmulgee, from what I've seen, as far as the rallies go for the Black Lives Matter movement, that they've been really peaceful, and they've been outside almost every night, really just wanting to bring awareness and let people know what they're standing for. So that's been positive, but absolutely understand that fear, Morgan, of, what if things turn violent in my community, right? And I have a 2-year-old son, and that can be kind of scary. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have about 10 minutes left. Does anyone else want to discuss anything about stress at all?
I have something. I want you to define what is COVID-19 mode.
COVID-19 mode?
Yes. So you mentioned that earlier.
I did.
Yeah. No. So back to you, Morgan. No, I think that's a valid type of feeling that a lot of us do have. And I know I'm about to have a son, and even whenever me, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but you look back on certain situations and you just really were kind of felt uncomfortable. And I do think that this is something that our ancestors especially have been dealing with forever, for a long period of time. And I think it has changed, and again, since from I know this sounds cliche, from back in the day, but now everybody has a voice and everybody sees everything. And I think whenever we start actually seeing what has happened to our people for so long, it does get scary to us. So I think that's a valid fear. So I would just encourage everybody to continue to control what you can. So continue to try to be good people, continue to try to stay involved in your community, continue to try to help people whenever you can. And ultimately, I think that is what our goal as an individual level. I think that's all that we can do.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys think stress is ever a good thing?
Yes, I think it's a natural response. It's scientifically a natural response that we as people have towards situations. And there's good stresses and there's bad stresses. You just have to do little things like to control your stress, like maybe not spend that extra 5 minutes in bed in the morning. Maybe go ahead and get up so you're not sitting there thinking about something for 5 more minutes that's going to stress you out for the whole rest of the day.
Sure.
Just keep on going. Don't take any extra time to think about unnecessary stuff. It's hard to do, but you just have to keep pushing forward.
Absolutely. And that's a great life motto. Just keep pushing forward. And one of the things that Rush says to me all the time, probably on a daily basis, is one day at a time. Because I pretty much tell Rush everything. Again, I've known Rush for like 3 or 4 years, and one day at a time. And that's really all we're guaranteed. And we just got to keep pushing forward. And I'm not perfect. I know I work in behavioral health, and sometimes people come to me and they say, Tyler, you have like friends and family, you have your life together. You can help me. You can be my part-time counselor. And it's like, I got my own issues too. Like I'm working on stuff myself. Like I'm always wanting to grow and be a better person. And I have a lot of anxiety and depression sometimes, and I have to learn to manage that. If I want to be that person that can help others, I have to be able to help myself. If I'm going through things, I've got to get that in check. There's a book that I've been putting off for a long time, but I just downloaded the audio book, and it's called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And it talks about like zebras and lions both, they have that good stress. And like you said, Morgan, having that good stress, it's a natural response. But what separates us from zebras and lions is that we tend to hold on to that stress. There's nothing wrong with having that stress, that quick stress, that acute stress, and boom, it happens, and we act, and then if we're able to manage that in a healthy way, we can usually turn that back off. Where it gets problematic is when we can't turn that off, and then we start looking at having episodic acute stress, where we're kind of living in chaos, where we're good for a minute and then something happens again and we're holding on to that stress, and we have multiple acute stressors happening every single day. And then you have people who live in chronic stress. This may be people who are living in poverty, and it's from the moment they wake up to the moment they lay down. It's a lot of stress, and from that, you can have a lot of physical symptoms from that, a lot of heart issues afterwards. And then two, a lot of people, when they're stressed out, they may turn to substance use, smoking. So not only do we have the stress that's happening, that we're putting a lot of stress on our bodies, but we're also using a substance as well that's damaging our body as well. So just finding ways to cope with that stress. And that's kind of what I want to end with. We've only got a few minutes left, but all of us get stressed in some way more than others. But what are some things that help you guys cope or manage some of that stress? And you can put in the chat, or you can say it here on the webcam. But what are some things that help you? And hopefully in our discussions, somebody can learn about some other coping skills that may help them out whenever they're stressed out. Maybe something they didn't think about.
For me, like I said, I think it was just trying to not kind of take extra time to do stuff, not slow down, even though it seems like, things are sometimes harder to get through the day with. I've just tried to, like I said, keep pushing forward and keep doing my normal things and not take any extra time doing anything, just keep going.
Yeah. So it's kind of that internal self-talk, like you're telling yourself, like, I got this, I got to keep going.
Got to keep going. Got to keep going.
There you go.
For me, it's about being intentional to make sure I get outside, to make sure I move my body, to make sure that I'm talking to and connecting to people, just to have that intentionality to do something in my mindful way.
Cassie, it was kind of picking up on my end. It could just be my audio. Is my audio weird? It's like robotic. Yeah, my audio was kind of up a minute. But it sounds like what you were saying, Cassie, is connecting to people. Is that right? Just those human connections.
Yes, intentionality and just making sure I get outside and take care of my body.
Sure. Being active, getting some sun. Absolutely. Anyone else? Rena, what about you? What do you do when you're stressed?
I knew you were going to ask me.
You've been too quiet. I had to.
That's one of my stresses too, is getting in front of the camera. Well, I like to listen to music, and I think in the last that last week's session that I mentioned, I like to do a lot of gardening. So if I really get stressed and I want to de-stress, I really go outside and I sit down and just sit there and look at everything that I've done, with my gardening and everything. So that is a big distressor for me. And the other thing is, one of the things was I was trying to think of some things that did stress me out, and one is that since all this began, I've had two of my older kids come back home. So that was a big transition because they already moved out. They're adult children and they already have their own places. And since all this started, they came back home. So me and my husband have been like going home and things are out of place or something's dirty. And it's like, I love my kids. But, I love my kids, but it's kind of like it's not the same.
Yeah, because you guys kind of got used to that routine, right?
Yes, we did. Yes.
We talked a lot about like what that looks like, and I was like, man, like that sounds like it's a really cool. It's like we just hang out, watch movies, chill, like just us. We're chilling. That sounds
And
dope.
we had 2 concerts lined up, and those we can't go to now. We got to wait till next year. So
I know.
So
I
something
just now got into like the local scene, and now they're canceled. Or maybe cry on Zoom or GoToMeeting. What were we saying, Rush? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say something that I do is every once in a while I actually go work out on my lunch break, and every once in a while I usually tell Tyler, I'm going to work out. Don't call me. So don't be afraid to give yourself that time that you need, and don't be afraid to say no to things if you need that time. Because I know that I need that 1 hour, that 30 minutes to do whatever I need to do for myself. And don't be afraid to kind of, close yourself off for just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't have to be all day, but don't be afraid to do that because, you know yourself better than anybody can. And you have to realize, what works for you and what doesn't. So I know for me, sometimes it's kind of saying, don't call me for a little bit. I'll talk to you in about an hour or two. So that's the last thing that I would say. Definitely that could help you manage your stress.
Absolutely. Yeah, and setting up those boundaries, which is great, and that's something that I think I can learn from, from Rush, is just letting people know, hey, I'm going to be off today, connecting with family. If you need something, I'm going to refer you to Rush, and he can handle those for you if he's working. For me, what I've recently gotten into is journaling, which is something I haven't done in like 10 years. So I went and bought a journal on Amazon, just like a cheap journal. I just write those negative thoughts down, and then I try to write positive things about myself. I have a lot of negative thoughts throughout the day, some of which may be I'm not good enough at my job, or I'm not working hard enough, or I'm always kind of setting this unattainable bar for myself that I'm never going to reach. So I'm kind of setting myself up for failure. So one of the things, and I don't know if Thomasine is still in this chat or not, but she's one of the inspirations for me, actually wanting to just start writing it down. One day she said, just write it down and talk and just journal about it. And so that's what I've been doing. And, it's been pretty awesome. And I'm pretty excited to look back several months in advance, because my plan is to fill the journal up and write in it in good days and bad days. And I'm looking forward to looking back at some of those older dates, because I date them as well, and just kind of look at that transition and look at how far I've come with my anxiety, with my depression, with my stress, right? And just being able to look at it and say, I've come a long way, right? And I think that's where it gets helpful too. And it's just taking it from up here, and it may be kind of hard to articulate or hard to kind of manage just in your own head. So for me, writing it down helps a lot. It really helps me get that out there. And then I'm also able to learn my triggers from that as well. So that way, when I know that these things are to come, which inevitably they will, I already kind of have a plan on how am I going to manage this before it becomes too much that I can't control. Does that make sense?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. So Tyler, do you have any last minute things?
No. I just want to thank everyone for the participation and joining us today. And I apologize for the technical difficulties that we went through. I'm more of a Zoom person myself. So for me, kind of learning GoToMeetings was a little different as well. But thank you, Rush, for setting it up. And hopefully we were able to get enough. I mean, we had, I think, 18 people at one time in here, which is awesome. So
yes, definitely thank you to everyone who participated today. And thank you for the ones who weren't too shy to open up your webcam and actually talk with us. And like I said, it does make it a lot easier on us whenever we do have that connection. So thank you so much. And hopefully you can join us next week. And next week we'll be discussing balance. And I think we're actually going to have another guest speaker with us. So stay tuned for that. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys, have gotten your coffee your morning coffee break in. And so thank you so much.
Later.